What is up, my little Deinos? Vepsis here, your coach of the Helsinki Hydreigons. We are finally here for the NPL Majors Season 9. I'm really looking forward to this season, because it's gonna be very stiff competition that I have to go up against some bigger names than I am in Draft League community. Not that I'm a big name myself, but just to put things into perspective, I'm jumping into a huge challenge that is ahead of me, considering the lineup that the NPL still has, even considering all what went down last season. If you're aware of it, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, don't worry about it, basically. When it comes to the draft itself, how this works is gonna be a point system draft. Every single team will have 125 points to spend, and you can spend them between 9 to 12 months, if I remember right. And when it comes to C captains, you can name as many as you want within 25 C points in itself. So that's the standard idea of the draft itself. If you don't know how point system draft works, hopefully you will get clarified as the draft goes along. But hopefully it's not something that you really need to worry about. And here you're just here to see what I was able to draft. And you're able to tell that there were some kind of limitations what you can draft in the team itself. And when it comes to the position in the draft itself, we are gonna be having 16 coaches in total. All of them are linked down below in the description, so make sure to check them out so you know who are gonna be part of this season, and you have the YouTube channels available for you to check them out. But between those coaches, the draft was randomized, the order itself. And my position happened to be the 15 out of 16 picks, so second last pick, just like in the UBLD League. I just had bad luck with the draw, what I can tell, but this is nothing new to me when it comes to draft order, or in general that is. But besides all that, my mindset was very similar to UBLD League, that I'm gonna be just picking best amount available and go from there. And maybe, just maybe, there are mons that I want to give it a try that still fall into me, but it's gonna be very unlikely that the mons that I had eye on for the most part won't be falling to me. And spoiler alert, they didn't, and I went with something that I'm very familiar with. But before I say what it is, let's jump into that part. And with the round 1 pick, I went with the Forgotten, the current black. Yeah, it's here with me as well, like in the UBLD League. I want to mention that this draft actually happened before the UBLD League. So while I was picking it here, I had no idea what I would be getting in the UBLD League in the round 2, as you might be able to remember if you have been following me. But just don't judge me too much. I know I drafted this thing again, but honestly I didn't have any other better option on available. All the most that I wanted to pick in round 1, which I wanted to try out more, which I haven't used or haven't used as much as this thing, they were all gone. So I was like, well, you know what, I guess it's just fate that current black is gonna join the ride for me and help me out throughout the NPL Majors Season 9. And it's gonna be one of my C captains, as you can tell from the screen. It's holding the C crystal, and it's gonna be very exciting, because most of the time when I have had current black, it's not been a C captain, either because it was back in Generation 6 or in the Generation 7. In the drafts that I have had, I didn't feel as necessary to name it as a C captain. But the way my draft actually will turn out, I felt this was my primary option as a C captain, and that's what I went along with. It cost me 18 points, which is the maximum amount of value that they gave to mons. This was one of the several ones which were categorized as 18 points. So some reason it just happened to fall into me in a 15 pick, and it might be the trend of, like, it might be in a downtrend in a sense in people's eyes, that people don't really want to use it. But I'll gladly take it if I don't have any better option available for me. Great stats overall, as we know about current black. Hits like a fucking nuke, and a guy gets up, just built like a truck itself too, with its stats and its presence basically when you look at it. So I really like the mod itself. It's basically my secondary mascot by now, and I have a pretty good idea to how to use it, and hopefully I can showcase it. Then in round 2, I decided to go with a Chirachi in 17 point category, which was still available as my steel type. And funnily enough, maybe the Mother Faith kinda came upon and said that don't pick the Megalopan even though it's available. Don't pick it. That time will come for Bunny and the Beast to be making its return. And you know what? She happened to be right, cause that did happen in the UBLD League. Again, if you have been following it, hopefully you are. And you know I had those two back together there. So I won't be having them here. I had the option, but I went with Shiratsi instead. Since I kind of wanted to draft instead of a steel type that I know is gonna be very valuable in itself, and steel types are very hard to come by, especially like a really good one which you can bring most of the weeks, if not every single week. And that's basically Shiratsi. Shiratsi, I would say, in my eyes, I would consider it the second best steel type after Celesteela. Even better than Mega Marvel, because I feel like Shiratsi is more consistent what you can get out of it, and it's more versatile as well. And just better options overall in a draft itself. And it's a base, 100 across the board as we know. Serene Grace, Hax is a win con, yada yada yada. So we know about that Shiratsi. We have been the bad side of it. Hopefully this season I can be good side of it, if not anything. But I do also have a very good recent success with this mon in a draft league that I had it last time, and it ended up being my kill leader. Not by hacking people down, but just because I was able to utilize a lot of different sets with it, either physical set or special set, even mixed. A lot of different kind of sets went well for me, and it turned out to be very good mon in that season, and hopefully I can replicate that here in the NPL Majors. And just picking a steel type, picking a mon that I had a recent success with recently, were basically the upside of me picking this thing, and make sure that Korean Black doesn't have to deal with it. So that is gonna be what I was able to draft in round 2. And in round 3 I decided to go a little bit earlier, jump on this mon that you normally would see it being drafted, and that is gonna be Crocodile. And Crocodile, I picked this mon on specifically because I wanted to make sure that I get a dark type that I really like, and I have a lot of experience of using, and I value it very high because of the success I have had it with it, and also therefore also a crown type as well. And Crocodile is just so unique in a sense that it has the dual typing on dark and ground, and it's so valuable in draft league format. It's ridiculous because you need the both typings. You always need them, either separately or together. Like in Crocodile, it can be valuable asset. They gave me a second stealth rocker besides Shiratsi already, gave me a dark type with a stab knockoff and pursuit. Two great abilities in Moxin. Intimidate gives it a lot more versatility within itself to be a winning condition with Choice Scarf, or just a very strong utility mon, like offensive utility, or just a even bulkier set you can make up for it. And it's just another mod that you can really mold to your liking, like my first two picks are. And that's kind of like something that I really value in draft league format, and what I find most success out of mons, that I can build different kind of sets with it, either move pool wise, what kind of set I put on it, what kind of IV spreads I want to put on it. That's usually where I find my most success in, and that's probably one of the reasons I feel like Crocodile always has done so well for me. So hopefully it's gonna replicate yet again here, and I figured I just cannot go wrong with this pick. And in round 4 I decided to go with my Mega Evolution, which did not end up being the Mega Lopunny, because that went immediately after my Shiratsi pick, but I'm okay with that. I was able to snatch myself the Mega Evolution that for whatever reason just stood out to me when I was looking at the prices itself, and that is gonna be Mega Aerodactyl. And the biggest thing that it always stands out to me, that it stands out to most people, and it's the greatest attribute from it, is its speed tier. 150 speed tier may end up being the fastest mon that it's end up being drafted throughout the whole NPL Majors, and that is in itself so valuable, because that basically means that unless there's gonna be choice Scarfers, which are going to be likely that now they are forced to be brought versus me, besides those, you cannot really outspeed me, then the other option is to have a good priority like Bullet Punch to take this thing off. But outside of that, it's gonna be very valuable as it, even with it, like just having this mon itself, forcing the prep that it does, providing me already third stealth rocker in a row and my first hazard remover in defog, alongside with the great coverage that it has with tough class as its ability. Not a pursuit trap, even though it's not stab, it's still tough class boosted. And just similar thing that I already touched on a Crocodile, that I really like mons that I can really mold to my liking throughout the matchup itself. Move pool wise and stat IVs wise, anything that comes along with it. And Mega Aerodactyl is no different from that. And that is hopefully gonna be one of the strengths of this team that I seem to start to have going on for myself. And I really hope Mega Aerodactyl is gonna pan out for me. I've always been a big fan of this mon, and hopefully I can make it shine here. Then in round 5 I decided to go with my grass type and my grounded poison type together in Rose Raid. And Rose Raid to me was probably the best grass type in my eyes to go along with what I had already, because I really wanted to emphasize that I could have potential hazard stacking options, because I think something like a Mega Aerodactyl could really benefit from spikes. Jirachi could benefit from those, or even from toxic spikes might be arguably even more deadlier with flinching sets, and it provides me a good answer defensively and offensively wise to bulky water types. It's looked a little bit annoying, especially to switch into, so having that kind of option in Rose Raid was really nice. With Nature's Cure I can avoid being crippled by status throughout the battle once I swap out and be cured by them, and Technician basically gives me the most widest move pool coverage was what you could ask for with hidden powers, since they do become base 90 power move, which is pretty nice considering that Rose Raid has a 125 special attack stat. So it hits like a nuke if you want to. You can make it a bulkier utility mod if you like to support a offensive approach that I think my team can somewhat shine upon, if I'm able to go that route in a matchup itself. And I think just Rose Raid overall was a really good fit on the team, and I really like the idea of pairing with the mod that I have planned in next round. And in round 6, like I mentioned, I really like the fit that the next mod that I will be picking to go along with Rose Raid, and that is gonna be Starmie. And Starmie, yet again, I'm pairing with Korean Black to provide me the hazard control support. Besides, now with Mega Aerodactyl we do have a rapid spinner besides defog, and this really benefits me if I try to go with the hazard stacking approach that I do have tools for with some of my earlier picks, since I picked already 3 stealth rockers, I have a spiker and a toxic spiker in Rose Raid, and now I have a rapid spinner to go along with them, so I don't force myself to defog, because there will be scenarios that I may want to get rid of hazards from my side of the field, considering that I have Korean Black and Mega Aerodactyl. So that's why valuing and emphasizing getting a reliable rapid spinner to me figured that it's gonna be something that I can really benefit from. And Starmie itself, it's always been a mod that I feel like I'm always been the fan of it. I know there are people that aren't as high on it, but hopefully I can showcase them on here in the NPL Majors and also in the UBLD League, what I mentioned also about Starmie in draft recap there too when I picked it. And it's been a mod that I recently have a renaissance of giving it another go and really emphasize on picking it. I assure you I haven't used it for a while, and it just now happens to be that I had it in both leagues. And it just happened to be, since I had Korean Black, I knew that Starmie is gonna be valuable, go along with it. And that's kind of like the main attractions, besides adding the natural speed here. Another nature cure mod to go along with Rose Raid itself, and also giving a offensive weapon with analytic itself, and which can really benefit itself too with the hazard stacking options that I have. And in round 7 I decided to go with Kofa Kriegers, yet again showing up in my lineup in the UBLD League itself, and for similar reasons. I wanted a very good fighting immunity and answer to them, considering that even though I have Starmie and Rose Raid, they aren't really the most bulkiest ones to take the fighting type hits when they are usually physically orientated. So having like a natural physically defensive wall to deal with them was really something that I looked upon on. And it can naturally check a lot of things with its natural bulk, and Mommy ability can come in clutch in so many different matchups versus certain type of mons. And it gives me another toxic spiker, taking away the pressure of Rose Raid now carrying them in its move slot, and provides me a very solid spin blocker as well. So if my opponent tries to avoid hazard stacking, they have to basically run defog versus me, unless they have a rapid spinner that can beat my spin blocker itself. So Those were basically the main attraction with Go for Kriegers. It can provide some other utility in itself that we know about it, being with Memento, trying to be a trick room sweeper, or anything like that. It can provide those options, but main attraction to it was providing the defensive presence that I needed out of it, naturally wise and typing wise, while also supporting the hazard stacking route. And in round 8 I decided to go with my fairy type, and it's gonna be a fairy type that I'm actually probably drafted the most in Draft League, for many people's surprise if they didn't know this being a fact. If you're one of my friends watching this, then you already knew this is gonna happen eventually if I don't pick a higher tier fairy type. It's a weird thing that if I don't pick a higher tier fairy type early rounds, I end up drafting Cramble. It's just how it is. And for me, main reason why I wanted to draft Cramble was that I wanted to make sure that yet again I pack myself another fighting resist. And it's a physical wall that I have found a lot of value out of it, even though it's not a typical fairy type that you would normally want to have in drafts, and most people would not be a fan of it. But this is kind of where people have to trust on me if they have their doubts on this one itself, because I have a very high comfort level with this thing. I know how to use it in and out itself, what it can do and what are its limits. And being my second C captain alongside with Current Black, it actually has a decent recovery move in C heal battle, healing itself back to full, which it gives a little bit more value than it would have otherwise without it. So very typical pick of mine, but I'm very happy with it because it goes along well with Go for Gigas, adding a little bit more natural physical bulk to my team, which I know can deal with a lot of different threats. And being a former normal type, it has also great move pool coverage wise and utility wise. And in round 9 I decided to go with something a little bit different, what you may have seen from me, and picking a mod that I really wanted to give it a try finally, and that is gonna be Vikavolt with 5 points. You have able to see the points on your screen when I've been picking these, what kind of price they were at it, just in case if I have not been mentioning them. But when it comes to Vikavolt, it's a mod, like I mentioned, that I wanted to give a try for a while. Mainly because I love its dual typing offensively wise. I think Bug and Electric go so well together offensively wise. While it's not the fastest out there, it's one of the slowest things out there. It hits like a fucking nuke, man. You can look at that special attack stat. Thunder is there and it has the same special attack stat, and we know how hard that thing actually hits. So this thing basically has the same damage output stats wise. And like I mentioned, the dual typing is great. It's really only what it needs besides hidden power, and having access to Roost, giving itself a decent longevity alongside with it, relatively decent bulk, and giving me finally a second crown immunity alongside with Mega Aerodactyl. Even though both of them are weak to rocks, and that's not most ideal, especially when I have Current Black as well, and I'm cautious of that and aware of it, and something that I'm still thinking about, that should I change that aspect of my roster. But when I was drafting it, my mindset was that I wanted something that I'm able to still afford, and it's a mod that I like, and I wanted to give this mod a try, and I felt like as a strong pivot and giving me another momentum option besides Jirachi, I can see a lot of value out of it. And then in round 10, my second last pick that I'm gonna be doing in this draft is gonna be another mod that I wanted to kind of give it a try and see that what kind of plays does it have in Draft League format, if at all, and that is gonna be Type Null. And Type Null, to me, it gave me another mod with momentum option with U-turn, that I started to realize more and more as I was going along that the options for momentum options were really limited, considering that which were already taken. And that's something that I have as a regret about my draft as a whole, that I maybe overlooked that aspect too much about my draft. But at least with Vikavolt and Type Null, I give myself those slower pivots, hopefully help out my Current Black getting in more often safely, or my Crocodile, or my Rosegrade, or my any other offensive threats that I do have in my position. And Type Null with the Evolite, it's basically bulky and Temporican too, and we know how fucking bulky that thing is and how to take down. The only difference is that the Type Null doesn't have the coverage that the Porygon 2 has, and most important one, it doesn't have the reliable recovery in its option as well, which are the downsides of it, and that's kind of what makes it so relatively cheap price wise. But I was willing to give it a shot and see that I like what I can see on paper and in calcs, and now we have to see how well it can actually function on practice in draft league format. And the final pick that I made in this draft itself is gonna be actually Lucario, and Lucario is a mon that I like my last two picks prior to this. It's not a mon that I really have a chance to try. At least I have tried it once in Generation 6 in a 3-week tournament, but that's not really too much experience of using it, the mon itself. So it's still a relatively new mon to me. It's a mon that I hate go up against because it's so threatening itself. Priority options that it has, the setup opportunities on any side that you would like, both on physical, special, speed wise, whatever you want. It gets all the options that you want as a setup winning condition, as a failsafe mon. And not drafting priority has been something that I usually find as a flaw in my drafting in the past, even though I feel like I can be a strong drafter when everything goes right and I don't get heavily sniped and things just go bad from there. But most of the time I don't draft enough priority, what I notice from my drafts, unless I have something like Megalopony in itself, which usually provides me enough priority that I'm comfortable with. So drafting something like this and giving myself a fighting type that I think I can go well with my auto offensive mons to break down their counters for this thing, or this thing becoming a winning condition and failsafe to opposing teams, I thought that that was something that I could really benefit from. But there were some other fighting types that I was looking at to potentially draft over this thing. We may have to wait and see, do I want to change my mind on that. Once the free agency opens, we are not allowed to make any changes on our roster until week 4. That's the earliest we can make any changes in our team when they come in effect. So for first 3 weeks, this is gonna be the roster what I'm gonna be using. The week 1 battle versus Shaco King, funnily enough, of course I go up against him in week 1 here in the NPL Majors. Will be going up today as well. I'm actually 1 day behind with my upload, so apologies for that to my viewers and to the NPL. I just had some technical issues which I had to deal with. But when it comes to uploading regards to this league itself, from my point of view and from other coaches' view on their respective YouTube channels, which are down below in the description, Majors coaches will be uploading every single Sunday from here on out. So for my channel, you'll be able to see UBL D-League Season 1's battles on Saturdays, and now you can see the battles from the NPL Majors from my point of view on every single Sunday. So weekends are gonna be filled with draft league content, so hopefully you're excited for that. Make sure that you're subscribed, so show your support. I really appreciate it. I have had good upswing going on thanks to the UBL D-Leagues, and I'm really hopeful that it can carry out here in this league, and I can provide you very hectic and close matches with high quality coaches going up against myself, and I'm just trying to do my best to keep along with them, and hopefully we don't get bodied. Hopefully we can keep up and we can make a solid run to the playoff itself and see where we go from there. But thank you all for watching. Until the week 1 battle versus Shaco King, I'll be see you guys later.